podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
It's Only a Game podcast with hosts Jimmy, Greg, Deg and Matt. Sat in the main stand, bringing football topics with occasional guests. Download, subscribe and stream for a hat-trick of support. Tap in ratings and reviews on your podcast platform. Stay on side with our YouTube channel and social media pages.
Hello and welcome to It's Only a Game, or should I say It's Only a Spiel. Of course, the German 2024 edition. We're in the knockout rounds. Who will win the Euro Millions? So as we all know, penalties are a lottery. Or are they? Let's leave that to Gary and Rio to decide. Anyway, I'm joined by Greg and Matt. How are we doing, gents, on this fine July evening?
Doing all right. The England are in the last four. The Tories are out. Labour are in. I can't really complain at the moment, which is the whole point of the podcast, isn't it? But yeah, good.
Yeah, much the same. We'll try and remain politically impartial for the sake of all of our listeners. But it was an interesting evening following that election results. That's all I will say. And yeah, into the final four of quite possibly some of the worst football I've ever seen an England side play. But yet we're here. So yeah, can't complain. Just about to say Spain to France is due on in about 10 minutes time as we're recording this. So you might hear the occasional odd update coming in if a call goes in. But yeah, all good otherwise.
Hey, we're getting all the content now. We don't deliver a podcast a week. Now we've got our own live listen along. So fantastic. Doing what all the content creators do. Get on with the time. Yeah, I mean, on the political thing, I have to remain impartial due to my job. But on the Euros thing, I don't need to remain impartial. It's been overall, I must say, it started great. How to describe it? It's a bit like a really crap roller coaster. Started great and has just gone slowly downhill since then. In terms of the overall quality of the games, what do we reckon? Not just England, but like as a whole spectacle.
Yeah, I'd agree. We've had the group stages is always fun because again you've got 3 games a day, in some cases 4 during the World Cup. I think when it comes around next time. I think you've got teams playing with a bit more freedom, whereas this time when we've got to the knockout stages, it does feel like teams are panicking a bit, or not say panicking, they're playing for maybe, 1-0s or penalties in some cases or that kind of thing. So it does feel like the quality of games hasn't been particularly amazing. But that's bound to happen. I mean, it'd be great if we could say every game's going to be a 6-goal thriller, but that just isn't tournament football as we speak currently. But I've enjoyed it as much as I have watched. Even England, I've got to put in that list because yes, we've been crap, but you can't deny we haven't made it interesting by taking games to 95th minutes and extra time and penalties and all sorts. So yeah, it's been good. I'm looking forward to the last 3 games. Hopefully we can go on and win it. But if not, it's still been a decent tournament, I think, on paper for England. But yeah, it's been good. Enjoyable to watch.
Is there a third place playoff in the Euros?
Does not
exist.
Not in the Euros. The World Cup there is, but not in the Euros.
That makes sense. Now,
thank God. It's a pointless game.
It is. That's what made me question that there. But yeah.
Pointless.
It is. It is like when a team gets knocked out, that means we'll World Cup. And it's like, oh, the tournament's over. Well, it isn't technically because they've got
one more game against the Belgians.
In it, Croatia, mate.
Croatia.
Yeah, Belgium was 2018 when they beat us twice.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, it was like England are out. We're technically still in the competition. We just can't win it. It's a bit of a joke. But no, thankfully, if England do go out tomorrow night against the Netherlands, that will be it. There'll be no shit show third place playoff.
It's an interesting one because we've all had different frustrations with England. We've had different discussions. Everything. I don't know. Where do we start with England? Where do we start with England, chaps? Where do we start there?
I want to start, if that's okay, actually with the positive that I think defensively, touch wood, obviously the Dutch will be a different proposition tomorrow night to whoever else we played thus far, and there's been some good sides. But we've defended quite well. I know Mbola's goal the other day was a bit of a deflection off Stones before he puts it away, and I know, we could have easily lost to Slovakia in 90 minutes, but on the whole, given the concerns we had over like Maguire being included to injury, Mark Gahey and then Ezri Collins being involved in centre half, concerns over left back, which are very much valid from an attacking sense, we've actually defended quite well. And that's, I wouldn't say it's a rarity with England, because I think we overlook the fact that we also defended pretty well for large parts of the 2022 World Cup. Certainly if you look at the latter group games, and we overlook the fact we conceded 2 against Iran because we scored 6. But I think between us and the French, arguably the 2 pre-tournament favourites, arguably the 2 dullest teams in the competition, certainly 2 dullest teams still in it. The one thing we've got in common is that we've both defended pretty resolutely and have been quite hard to break down. But that's, I guess, positive, which can win you tournaments. We've seen it with Greece in 2004 being the prime example of wouldn't concede a goal. And if they don't concede a goal, then they can't really lose. So that's something good going forward that I hope they can take into tomorrow night. Although looking at the Dutch midfield, mere talent, the attacking talent there, it's going to be different to what Switzerland and Slovakia and the rest have offered against us.
I think you've got that though in both semis, where you've got the Spanish and the Dutch, who have arguably played between them. The Spanish in particular, I would argue, have played the more attacking football and have scored most of the goals, I think, in my head. Whereas you've got the French and the English, who have been a bit more defensively minded and have got us there. So you're looking set up where you're either going to have a Spain-Holland final, which could be 2 attacking teams going at each other, or a France-England final, where both teams sit back, 10 men behind the ball. Nothing happens for 90 minutes and goes to penalties. So you know what? Let's wait and see. It's too.
Can't wait.
I would argue it's pet ball against dice ball to a certain extent.
I want to say on the Dutch though, you say about the Dutch being quite attacking. I'd argue that Koeman set them up, and I know I'm going to bleed into a bit of club bias here. Koeman set them up the kind of way that he would roughly set up Everton about 2016-17.
What the
If you stand defenders, you've got Van Dijk, you've got is De Vrij, he's still part of the Dutch setup.
I think so.
You've got the midfield, which I think is not the midfield he would have gone with, but is it Reinders is in the midfield, who's been an absolute revelation this tournament, seeing as De Jong's out. And then you've got the pace for Marlon, and then you've got a battering ram like Veldweg. You know, so eventually, hey, defender's good, attacker's fast, let's play on the counter, and it's really against Romania, they absolutely blitzed them on the counter, and
absolutely,
and it worked again against what I think was a very good Turkish team. It's whether or not, therefore, then that England be invited out to actually have a go at the Netherlands tomorrow night, or whether both teams are kind of sitting back in an awkward, what I like to call the Year 6 school disco formation, whereby both sides are very much at the either end and don't really want to people the other. Well, one side boys the other, no one really notices. And it's like a genius there, by the way. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see if we have to try and come at them. If we can come at them, we've got the players to have a go at them. But again, it's whether Dutch can pick us up on the counter the way that maybe the Swiss did with their goal, or the Slovakians did in the previous round. But Spanish, they've been good. They've been good.
They've been good to watch. Most importantly, they've been a really good. I mean, you look for that squad, and on paper, it's a very good side. But I don't think I expected them to maybe go as far as they did. It was a tough one because the Germans, you'd always bet the Germans in knockout football, but they hadn't really set the tournament like the Germans, and the Spanish, obviously a late winner, did play some excellent football. It's a tough argument if they, on the day, what was it, 89th minute winner, I think it was, something like that, wasn't it? But they have got some good talent coming through, and they look a really good side. And I'm quite intrigued to see what the French are going to be like, because the French, again, you'd expect them to really be at teams, and they were poor in the game the other night. Going through, was it pens, wasn't it? In the end, they went through all. And they haven't, for the players they've got, they haven't really set a line. I know Mbappe's had, obviously, his broken nose, etc. Maybe that's hindered him a little bit. But they have got an excellent side of paper, and they haven't really set the tournament alight the way I thought they were going to. They were my favourites before the tournament started. And they might still win it. But like England, are they going to win it playing not the best football? I don't think they'll care. I know I won't care if England win it not playing the best football, because if you win it, I suppose.
It's an interesting one because I was trying to think of recent cup finals where teams have got there, and you think, how the hell have they got there? Well, it happened the season just gone in terms of Man United beating Coventry to get to the FA Cup final. People were saying they didn't deserve to be in the FA Cup final. It was a poor performance, but they've got the win. And then on a different flip side of things, not everyone, a lot of people were saying that Real Madrid didn't deserve to be in the Champions League final because Man City played better than them. So there's like a theme of this past few months of teams getting to positions or finals with fans or pundits saying they don't deserve this, so they don't deserve to be in the final, and they're getting there and they're doing it and they're getting the job done. Man United somehow beat Man City in the final. Real Madrid, we were favourites obviously, but they were getting bit of criticism for the way they beat Man City, because Man City were trying to win it with attacking football. But it seems to be not regular, but a theme of the past few months that teams are getting it done by hook or crook, really, getting to the final, getting there, and winning. Obviously, England aren't in the final, but it's looking as if it's potentially France or England are still in it, playing this type of football where it isn't attractive football, and we spoke off air just before we came on about France not getting as many goals as we would think, and it's they've rode the luck a little bit, but yeah, it seems to be a thing these days where teams just find themselves in the final. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. It was just something I look back on, really.
I suppose the question there is, are there many teams that have won tournaments recently that have won it at a canter, where they've just been, since day one, played the best football, won every game comfortably, and they've never really been matched? And I suppose, no, immediate thought. Jimmy, you're probably more Rain Man on this if this comes to you more than it comes to me. But even there's teams that have won the World Cup that have lost the first group game. That's incredibly common. That happens.
Spain.
So I suppose Spain.
Who were largely regarded as one of the best footballing sides to win. They lost to Switzerland in their opening game in 2010.
So I suppose it's tournament football, and you used a Real Madrid analogy, and it's probably a kind of a perfect one, I suppose, where their side, they just always have a habit, they just find a way to win, even when it looks like they're not. I can't think of many tournaments, club or country, where a team has won it, and it's been like, yeah, you know what, since day one they've been the best side, they've brushed everyone they've come across 2-3-0, because it doesn't happen. I think what you got to forget, we've got to remember, I should say, is this is top level international football, and there's players that are in that tournament are there for a reason, or the sides that are there for a reason. I know when we go to a 48-team World Cup, it might dilute that a little bit, where there might be teams there that you'd be thinking, I get the fact you qualified on paper, but you are there going to be a bit of whipping boys, but that's just the nature of the tournament. Whereas I think the Euros... You can list most of the clubs, and anything from the sort of the bottom half going, yeah, you might go one or two shocks. And I suppose you've had in this tournament, they've opened up to 24 teams. That's it's another podcast itself, it's another discussion itself. Has that format worked? Yes and no, in equal measure. I still don't fully understand how the third place playoff worked, even though I was following it. I do feel like you just have your top two from each group going through, so either expand it out again to 32 or put it back to 16. Would be my way of doing it. But yeah, they said the sides don't generally win tournaments, beating teams 3-0. That's just not the way that tournament football works, and that's okay. And like I say, if England or if France do go on to win it, not playing the best football, no one really cares. If you're supporting those sides, I won't care. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
I think it's... Sorry, Greg, were you going to say something, mate?
No, it's alright, Jim, you go for it.
Okay, I think we've got to remember that there's a very much kind of cultural shift in the last sort of 15 years in the football fan mindset, and the football fans growing up now in the modern era. We're looking up to a time pre-Guardiola, if you will. It does, my belief, I know it's a bit of an obvious ball, just back to him, a little bit, in that we're so used to seeing top sides, whether it be the current City side, and Real Madrid, don't forget, they are full of superstars. We're so used to seeing teams sweep the opposition side in league competitions that, and you know, City, for example, in the league will play, I don't know, say Brentford at home. Okay, it's an always figure, but they'll go and win 5-0, be 3-0 for our time. Brentford won't have a kick, and it's done. And the current generation of fans and all of us have been so accustomed to seeing that happening so regularly that we almost have forgotten what it's like to have a level game, an even game, a safe game. But I think I've mentioned this on like voice notes where England give up a few chances to a team that's perceived to not be as strong as them, and it's like the end of the world. You know, Slovakia score a goal, it was the end of the world. Switzerland score a goal, it's the end of the world, without recognising that all of these guys are still top level professionals at various leagues around Europe. You know, maybe they're not playing in the Premier League, but it doesn't matter. Playing like Serie A or the Bundesliga, you know, they're still elite level pros at the highest level playing at a system that works for them. And I think this tournament highlighted a real shift from the kind of, you know, the oh, let's win playing beautiful football and knocking it around, the kind of Guardiola style, and the big superstars will go out and smash teams 5-0. Well, not every team's got big superstars now. This isn't like the leagues where you can just buy up the best players and you smash everyone. Everyone's got, you know, their own players. You get what you're given in national football. You've got to find a way around it. And if it does involve getting a bit turgid at times, which it has been, and I'm not saying I agree with it, you've got to do what you've got to do. And I think it's been a bit of a shock for a lot of people who have been so used to seeing teams buckling aside, even by Leverkusen in the league this season, without the big superstars in the German league, have been so good. But I think another point I heard as well today is that if you took, for example, the first 50-odd games in the Premier League, condensed them into a month's worth of games, you know, playing a game every 3 days, are you going to end up with the same kind of week by week drama that we kind of get? No, it's still going to, you're going to have it amplifies, every game's amplified because
eyes on it.
International tournaments that stand alone. It's like in a league, no one looks back at the Premier League season or a National League season or whatever and goes, oh, that was a really good season. You know, that race for, you know, whatever was really good. We just go, oh, that season's done, on to the next one. But international tournaments, just there every 2 years, every 4 years, however you want to figure it with the calendar. You know, each tournament stands alone on its own merits and gets reflected on a standalone tournament. Every game becomes this own little event. And like you say, yes, there's more eyes on it, particularly if it's your country that's playing. You want to get people who are not interested in football. Hey, we're on in the semi-final tomorrow. You know, it's massive. The whole nation's watching.
Get down to Box Park and throw some pints in there.
Don't look £8 pints down to Box Park where half the Scousers won't turn up because they've got the LFC team events on at the Derby. I'm still not over it. I'm still not past it. Nothing, but no. And because it's all magnified to such an intense degree, it becomes like everyone's expectations of there's going to be this incredible, like, England are going to win 5-0, whatever. This team only have players that play in the Slovenian league. It's not that simple. You can't. It's not. It never goes like that. It's even like as Matt said, the best sides struggle. Spain in their 2008 Euro campaign had a real seminal moment when they beat Italy on penalties in the quarterfinals, and that's recognised in Spain at the time. The culture of Spanish football and tournament shifted, and none of their success would happen without beating the Italians on penalties. Now, we forget that because we're not involved. We just say Spain, they were really good. They won 3 tournaments in a row. But they had some near misses where they could have balls it up at any moment.
I think that's the difference, isn't it, between, we look at, I mean, England's past, we look at England's tournaments under Southgate in particular. If you look at what we are now, 2 Euros and 2 World Cups we are now.
Yeah.
2018 World Cup, I always think that was, I won't say it's a missed opportunity, but the Croatia game in the semis always feels like a game where we went ahead so early and they just kind of panicked. And Croatia, again, were an excellent side. 2020/21, we'll call it. A little bit of luck. Obviously, not penalties can be a bit of a lottery. Again, going ahead so early and just not managing the game. They all feel like missed opportunities. And then 2022, it was a French, wasn't it? Beat us in the quarters, I want to say.
Yeah, quarters. Famous his penalty, didn't he?
Yeah, see what wasn't a classic. So they all feel like, again, there are moments where there's 3 chances there where I'm not saying we would have gone to win the World Cup in 2022, but they are, you know, using Kane's penalty as an example where if the tide just goes in your favour, if, you know, in 2018, if again we hold on, maybe win on penalties or something like that, and then the Italy game in 2021, it's a lottery and there's 3 players there that miss. But I think everyone forgets this. I think Italy missed 2 pens. It wasn't a great penalty shootout. I'm coming on to England in a second, but the penalties of the day, it was great to see Saka score even. But they do feel like there are little moments where you think, if it's just gone a little bit differently, and Spain have that, I say you something about 2008, where they just get a win on penalties and it just switches it. I was hoping that the win on Saturday was that moment of the huff and the puffed. It was, weren't sure it was going to get through, and then to have a big penalty win in your quarter final must give you a bout of confidence.
Absolutely, especially I've been watching quite a few of the clips of Gary Neville, Roy Keane, Ian Wright talking about the penalties, and they've all got their little individual story to tell in a strange way. Obviously, Saka missing the penalty a couple of years ago, and it's sort of like a redemption thing. Sort almost in a you could say a bit like a Stuart Pearce, where he missed his and he managed to score it and things like that. Obviously, for different reasons, this particular one, and obviously things got a little bit out of hand, didn't they, with the racial side of things.
Oh, goal France.
Yes, goal France. In the 8th
Moani,
They scored from open play.
They did open play from across as well.
Oh, well, lads, right it off now. They're going to win everything.
Let's stop recording. Sorry.
France have won it.
French are going to win it. Oh, well.
They've got everything in their armoury now, haven't they?
Absolutely.
Allez Bleu, the whole thing. Yeah, fair dues. Well done.
Yeah.
Wow, that was
well done.
8 minutes in. 8 minutes in.
Yeah, their last goal was the Tongan knee. Now it's Moani. There you go. That was awful.
Awful, yeah.
Hey, blame James Richardson. That was the athletics joke.
Oh, what a great guy. I've seen he's doing advertisements for pizzas on Instagram, James Richardson. Yeah.
Is he now? I have to get on that.
Going back to the penalties, they all had their little individual story to tell, didn't they, really, in terms of Trent. Everyone was saying, he can't do this, he can't play there, or whatever. We don't like him to be playing here. And his penalty was absolutely outstanding, and obviously Ivan Toney, he's had a different, story arc this season just gone with one thing and another that we don't need to go over again, but that penalty was ruthless. He didn't even look at the ball. That was ridiculous.
That's his technique though. That's what he's done that all season. I think I saw Neville and that stick to football a lot. It's more the pressure and the situation of when you're doing it, because he does that every day, to be honest. It's not as if that's his technique he's used to, but to do it under that situation and to do it so coolly as well, I have to admire that one. That was a good pen.
Yeah, absolutely. What was the first? But I thought Palmer, first penalty, Palmer. I thought that took a bit of guts, really, because yes, obviously he does it for Chelsea, what have you.
First tournament.
Yes, first tournament. First. I don't think he started, has he? He's been coming on for a few 15 minutes here and there. But I think he's been great. I think the first game that he played for England, I thought he really did push us forward slightly. You could see what he was trying to do, get the ball and travel up with it. I was really encouraged seeing Palmer. And I don't know, there's a few players I wish that we could have given a bit more time or even minutes. Gordon. Has Gordon played yet? I'm not too sure if Gordon... No, he hasn't, has he? No.
Has he come on at all?
I don't think he's come on. No, I don't think him or Watkins.
Watkins has played against Denmark, I think.
Oh, did Watkins
come
on?
He did.
Watkins come on. He might have come on towards the end.
Adam Wharton's not played, does he have to?
But,
which, to be fair, we didn't expect he would, but...
No.
It was a strange one. I was saying to Matt as we were sorting things out with the podcast setup, that I don't think I've ever experienced it where I'm watching England in a major tournament and we are going out within seconds and it's disappointing and it's going to be all over the news, and then bang, Bellingham, worldie, bicycle kick of sorts. I've never had that flip of emotion with England where it's been absolutely awful. Not awful, but you can see everyone going. It's been bang average, because awful could be a 5-0 defeat, but it wasn't. It obviously hasn't been a 5-0 defeat, but it's been average, call it below average, what have you, and it's just flipped on its head.
We had Platt Italian 90.
Possibly.
Was it David Platt?
Flat against Belgium, Italia. Was it Belgium or Cameroon, Italia 90, I think?
One of the two, wasn't it? I'm trying to think anything going forward. 2002, we were fairly comfortable.
The only thing I can think of that's remotely close in my memory, and Greg, you'll remember this as well, and Matt, you might have the three shake-ups, a qualifier against Greece, where we were on the playoff against the Ukrainians, and the Germans were going to Japan. And then obviously Athens late equaliser. We forget it was only an equaliser that day. Put us through in the German playoff against the Greek side, but with Portugal, obviously would go on to win the Euros. That's the closest thing I think of to Bellingham's overhead kick in terms of that last minute saving our arse.
Euphoria almost.
Yeah.
Well, 2000,
it was euphoria, but it was also like, oh shit,
relief, wasn't it?
Yeah, as well, because there was. Like I say, I jumped up and frightened the life out of my girlfriend because she was cleaning around the TV, and I just got up and she thought I had a heart attack. To be quite frank, but then it was apparent that I think part of me was like, "Oh crap, we still might lose this." But
another half an hour of this show.
Deep down, you still thought when that went in, you thought, "No, we've got this now," and that's not like me. You know me, Matt. You know.
Oh, Christ.
You know me. I think we're going to lose everything.
Over here.
But even when that went in, I thought, we've got to do this now.
I think it helped that we got the second one 2 minutes in.
I didn't realise it started. I was up on having a wee. And next thing, I came from downstairs and thought, we're on the other side of the start again yet. And that's my eyes closed with the phone. I was like, flipping hell, it's actually bloody made it 2-1 now. So, yeah.
The weird thing about the pens was, I mean, this is probably, again, a bit of pessimistic coming into me. The one person who walked up that I thought was going to miss was Jude Bellingham.
So, yeah.
Well, because, right, and this is, again, me being pessimistic, I'm also going off history as well. But of all the players that you would think are bound to miss a penalty, he's top of your list. And if he's not top of your list, you're lying.
Because,
yeah, it is. It's the Beckhams, it's Harry Kane, last tournament. Right. It's those players that are put on a pedestal as such, but are built up because I bet he scored scored the first game, obviously got the equaliser in the round of 16. Etc. It was that thing where you're thinking, okay, he's had these moments keep cropping up. It would just be fucking typical if he goes to miss the penalty and we go out because he misses a penalty. And it'd be that thing of, well, the learning moment comes for him. Then you put it away, it's absolutely fine. But yeah, I was delighted for Trent Alexander-Arnold. I mean, it seems daft saying this is an Evertonian because I should dislike him, but I don't. I think he's a very, very good player. And I do think he was hung out to dry a little bit by Southgate at the start of the tournament. I can see the idea of playing him in midfield, but you don't do that at the start of a tournament when he's never done it. He's done it a bit for Liverpool, I think. In like 10-minute stages of game. He's never started there for Liverpool. And I did always think he was a scapegoat for what idea I could see what you do, but you do that idea in, a friendly or a qualifier. You build that up and build it up. You don't just throw it in at the first game at a major tournament and expect it to go well. And full credit as well to Kobe Mainu, who has been brilliant when he's come into that squad. The lad's 18. It's not fair how good he is for when he's come in. But to see Trent score that penalty was a great moment. And what I do love as an Evertonian is seeing Jordan Pickford constantly proving doubters of his ability wrong, because every Evertonian knows how good he is. And there seems to be this weird thing from the media or from fans of not Evertonians who don't think he's very good. And he's not. He's fucking excellent. He's mad. He's fucking mental. But that's what you need to be goalkeeper. He's fucking wonderful. And to see his antics on Saturday were hilarious.
It's true, because I'm in a few group chats with my mates from back home, and they were saying in previous competitions it's been goalkeepers that have cost us tournaments. So in obviously David Seaman, Brazil, the lob, Ronaldinho. Was it Robert Green where it sort of bounced and went under him and in? Was that USA?
Was USA.
There's been a few more. Obviously, you can talk about a few more over the years, past 40, 50 years, what have you. But historically, it's been goalkeepers that have cost us games, or now we're in a position.
So it's been goalkeepers that have cost us games. We've always, Pickford's record in penalty shootouts. I think everyone he's been in an England shirt, he's saved at least one penalty, which is a mad stat to think of.
Saved more than I think when Pickford's been in penalty shootouts, he saved more than double any other goalkeeper, including Shilton, Steeman, you name it, in any other major tournament. He's got like double the net record of saves in penalty shootouts.
Which is bonkers to think about.
Yeah, but I think on the penalty thing, just to the point, I think this might come across a bit woke to some people. But I think, no, say this seriously, in that Gareth Southgate in the England side, I mean, the whole it's a lottery stuff that's come out. You know, as kids, we always thought, oh, it's a lottery, and you can't recreate the pressure. Hodgson, Sven, Capello, all the England managers would say, oh, England, we can't recreate the pressure. It's a lottery. It's all this, it's that. But then we'd also say, oh, the Germans always win penalties. And we never actually went to think, why is that? And what's happened now is England, I can't remember the guy's name, but they've hired a psychologist, breathing experts and psychologists to help England players in that moment deal with taking a penalty, because there's statistics come out whereby I think the average time between the whistle being blown and England taking a penalty in the 2020 Euro final was less than a second. And I think the average time the Switzerland game was about 5 seconds.
I was going to say this. I clocked that early on and wondered if it was just me being daft, but every one of them, the whistle was blown, they all took a breath.
They practiced
and they all took a moment, and every one of them, the technique was as you would expect. So, like Trent, for example, was a right foot whip in the top corner, which is what you'd expect him to do. Tony, again, with his technique.
Why they were so narrow-like with the penalties. They didn't panic, they didn't rush. Southgate himself in 96, he watched the penalty back. He just wanted
so quick.
He panicked. In the 2006, Gerard Lampard, they panicked. They can't cope with the pressure of it because they don't just take a moment to compose themselves and know what they're going to do. Now, I'm fully aware we get that easy bottle it and go out to Netherlands on penalties tomorrow night. In fact, now I've said it completely. But even if we do, what I'm saying is that there is a blueprint there to show that penalties are not just a lottery. It is about, like any other tactical part of the game. You have to practice them. You have to work not just on how you physically do it, the mental kind of side of the game as well going forward, which it's not just, oh, kick it and vibe. It's not just, oh, the Germans always win on penalties. France don't think of the time when they actually missed the penalties at major tournament, but I'm sure they'll have. There'll be a Nations League somewhere.
Yeah,
but
something somewhere.
Something obscure or something I've not thought of. But the fact that there is clear statistics now that back up how England have got 5 from 5 against Switzerland, which is not something for, even when we beat Colombia in 2018, we missed, I think, one, we went behind.
Dele Alli, wasn't it? Hit the bar?
I don't recall who it was, but I remember.
I think it was Dele Alli.
I remember they missed the last penalty to Colombia. But yeah, there is definite statistics and research from behind this that England have worked on. The water bottle thing, obviously, I think it's quite common amongst keepers now, and I'd be wary of that if I was 50, because obviously people have gotten on to it now, keepers do it. But it's not a case of trying to hit a few balls and just hope for the best and just don't get it over and done with. It is a case with it's a tactical part of the game now in major tournaments that a lot of these players will have dealt with maybe in the European Cup or in cup finals or in whatever it may be now. It's not, and I think that's a really, for all that I will look back Southgate tactically for not being positive enough, we've won 75%, is it 75% of our shootouts under Southgate at major tournaments?
Yes, we've lost against the Italians, obviously.
But we 1-1 Spain-France, by the way. Lamine Yamal, the world's greatest GCSE.
Has he finally scored?
He has, Lamine Yamal. He's just passed his Spanish GCSEs and now he's scoring in the semis of the Euros. I'm not jealous.
So I'm on iPlayer, so I'm watching it slightly behind.
Phenomenal. And I've just got it on the
oh, that's a goal and a half.
That's a cracker.
Audio. I'm telling you guys, I'm sitting on that, so I'm not actually seeing the goal, and I'm just describing it.
Filthy.
Can you describe it to us for those of us that haven't seen it?
Left foot, top corner.
Wow, you're a man of few words. No country.
That is pretty much it. Wait for the replay to come on. Okay. Sorry, for the listeners, I'm currently showing my iPad to the camera.
Right.
For them to watch
see
the goal.
Mbappe come up with the ref. Yamal is getting surrounded by Morata with a big hug. And Mike Maignan, same birthday as me, Mike Maignan, by the way, last Wednesday, birthday for last Wednesday, Mike Maignan, although he won't be feeling that right now.
He's 16, what the fuck?
I know, he doesn't look 16, does he? He's an absolute monster for 16.
That's great technique.
It's like Rooney.
You see what he's done there?
That's a hell of a play. Good hit, Lamine.
You can see what he's done there. He's dragged them to one side and then his side foot left and then hit it.
Put onto his left.
Clever goal.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
That's a cracker of a goal, that.
That'll be Harry Kane tomorrow.
Hopefully.
That will not be Harry Kane. If that's Harry Kane tomorrow, then it's a consolation goal.
So,
That'll be
yeah,
Bukayo
let's
Saka
go on
tomorrow.
about Harry Kane.
Allowing us that much space.
Let's go on to Harry Kane. Just in terms of like
let's go on to Kane,
Lineker
go on.
and Shearer, I don't think Lineker and Shearer were going too harsh on Kane. I think they were saying we would like to see more from him. That's not. I've heard a lot worse than that. I thought that was a bit blown over, out of proportion. But obviously, in the past, we've had players like Rooney who can do a bit more than score goals. He can track back. He can try to defend. He can do bits and bobs. Where is the Kane isn't doing enough come from? Is that because we're not battering teams 3 or 4-0 and that's why? Or
No, it's because he's not doing enough. Because he's not fit.
it does look like he's blown out.
He does not fit
It does
to
look
me.
like he's, yeah.
He's coming deep. He's tried to do what Rooney did for years. Come deep and then play the whole game on his own. He needs to stay up there and basically goal him. And when we do hit on the attack, you've got Bellingham and Foden who can manage the game. You've got Rice and Minor or whoever in the midfield to control it, Palmer, whoever. Just be there to finish it. That is as simple as that. We know clinical finisher he's been for the last decade. Just be there. Get it away, lad. He's
There was a
trying to do too
moment-
much and he's not getting in the right place because he's not the place.
There was a moment in the game on Saturday where, Saka, who was our best player by a mile, had their left back on toast. He beats the left back, and puts it across, and it's a great ball across. I can't remember his name.
Arbiter or something.
But it's one of those crosses that all he has to do is be in the 6-yard box and it's a goal. Picks the pass out, he can't miss. And Kane's near like the penalty spot. He's miles behind it, and that's the difference. What Kane has never been, what he's so good at is getting into the areas in the box where he just then puts the ball in the net, crack on, and away you go. He doesn't look fit to me because he almost can't keep up with the two wingers, Saka in particular. Foden probably not as much, but we look better with 3 at the back, I thought, the other day anyway. But Saka in particular, where Saka's running through and has got, just trying to get the ball in the box, he can't keep up, clearly, because I agree with you, I don't think he's fit at all. And I would like to see Tony given a go. I don't think they will, because I think at this point, you never know with Harry Kane. As again, when he scored the other night, he might just get a goal out of nowhere. But he doesn't. I don't. He's not doing enough. He just doesn't look fit, and also his style of game needs him to be fit to suit the system we're trying to play. That makes sense.
If Kane says he's fit, he's starting. It's simple as that.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
If I'm Southgate, I'm saying, right, Gary, okay, 2-1 Spain.
2-1.
Sorry, spoiler alert. You can on me hot mob now. I'll name me out. Other apps are available. But no, if I'm Southgate, I'm telling Harry Kane to basically, okay, sometimes drop a little bit deep, but don't come deeper than like the gate of our own half. If you don't need him, hold him midfield. Look, Declan Rice, £205 million worth of player, whether you think it's English tackle or not. He's a cracking player. We've got players who can do that job. Get up there. Your job is to score goals.
I think that's an own
Looks
goal,
like an
by
own
the way.
goal to me.
Is it? Oh.
Well, if it's not,
Tables of own goal deep most of the tournament.
It looks like one.
I think it is only because it looks like it's. If whoever has a shot, I think it's Navas. I'm not entirely sure.
Down is Danny Olmo on me app.
It's almost it, right? Must be Olmo. Because it looks like he hits it, and looks to me like it's going to hit the corner flag, and then it just comes off Koundé and goes in.
Interesting.
Right. Okay. Well,
But I've not seen the replays. I'm not
I'm
entirely
sure that's another line we'll come from Matt in a moment. With that one, but Paul says Danny Olmo. They've just scored 2 in 4 minutes, which is most un-French of
I'm
the French
slightly
defence.
behind on the iPlayer here, but
You know, say it. I think it's an own goal.
It may well get changed to an own goal. The independent
have a quick look.
adjudicator panel.
Oh, it has. Yeah, it's gone. It's come off the side of his shin, I think.
Oh, it definitely comes off it. It's whether it's going in or not. I don't think it's going in.
Yeah, it's got.
I'll
Yeah.
have a look
I
later,
think it's
but
going in.
I think the main thing of the big words is trying to stand around the one goal deficit against the mean
think
French
that was going
defence
in.
within 5 minutes. That's
Don't really know what
massive.
Koundé's doing,
I
if I'm honest,
agree.
because he's. I don't know how he's intended to clear it, because he just kicked it into his own net, essentially.
I don't know what Jules Koundé does most of the time. To be honest, yeah, watching Barcelona at times, he can be solid or can do progress, but
There you go.
no more. But yeah, back to good old Blighty. No one calls him that. Yeah, are we going to talk about? We can talk about penalties. We can talk about Saka and whatnot. Are we going to talk about the 120 minutes that was the Switzerland game in terms of the play and the Swiss and
I thought we looked better. I said this before.
Yeah.
We definitely suited the three at the back. I do think when Luke Shaw came on, we looked miles better having a natural left-footed player. Left wing back, technically, wherever he is. But I think also what that does give you, and I don't whether Shaw starts tomorrow, I don't know, is you've kind of got the option then of adjusting back to a flat back four if you want to, and having, I don't know, someone step out of defence. I'm thinking John Stones, like he does for the City in particular. That system to me suited what we do better. I think also shifting Bellingham and Foden. I think Foden, it might not have been a highlight reel from him, but I definitely think he played better sort of in the pocket.
like he does.
And then giving Saka the license then to basically go off and do what he does.
Yeah.
And I do think, like I say, if we do get someone at left back, if it is Luke Shaw, starts tomorrow, the balance of that side looks miles better. Because Trippier, I like Trippier, don't get me wrong, I do like him, he's a good footballer, but he's constantly trying to come back onto his right foot.
Yeah.
Because he's right-footed.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Slows it down. He's only hit it
he does.
down, doesn't he, really? He keeps inside, and it's just like, the whole momentum's gone. And
Which I know you can say that Saka does the same on the right-hand side because he wants to come his left foot, i.e. as the goal. But he's also got a right foot that he can take on players and put across into the box, which is what Trippier just hasn't got.
And as well, though, Staffy, you're further forward and you put him inside, as opposed to Trippier who's putting across on his right from 30, 40 yards further back, slowing the play down. Saka can increase the play, whip in some in-swinging balls and scare the shit out of defenders if he wants with his left foot. Or indeed, like you say, you can use an upswing over the race. He can do both. That's the beauty
I'll be
of Saka.
intrigued. I'll be intrigued to see what he does tomorrow. Because I think Gay can come back in, can't he? Because not that Cons have played poorly, Cons have played pretty well. But Mark Gay will definitely start against tomorrow. So whether they go for the three at the back with Walker, Stones, Gay, or whether he just go back to the four, I don't know. Be intriguing to see them.
I would still want Kyle Walker to manage the pace of a Pie or a I would treat them like you treat Mbappe, in the sense that they are very good, and you need your quickest players to be able to race with them, and Kyle Walker is most certainly that. I think the temptation may be to play Trippier on the right if you're on the left. For as good as Trippier is, I think he just has to be unfortunate in that he may well miss out in the sake of balancing out the defence. Again, we don't know, he might have a different one up the sleeve, we just don't know, but he's not really veered much from the norm South Date in the tournament in terms of what he's gone for, despite criticism, which, 60 guns if you wish, despite the heavy sort of outcries style of play. I do think you're right. He's going to have to maybe go out there to balance out the defence and then go with kind of well 15. And I think, you're right, Gay, he does come back. Nothing against Ponce. Ponce was great against Swiss. Wasn't his fault for the goal at all, really. It was on that.
Walker, you'd argue.
You could argue Walker, yeah. Just, Mbolo's a good finisher. Anyone who's watched him at the time in Germany.
But he let him get goal side.
Absolutely. And I think the fact is very important. Though. But on that, I do think the Swiss were good for that goal. I think they came out half time. Well, I thought we were better first half. I thought we were the better team first half. I do think we deserve to go through overall, which I know is slightly disingenuous and penalty shootout. But I think the second half, the Smith came out and thought, right, they haven't scored yet. We can have these.
There was a period. They scored with what? Was it just under 15 minutes ago? It was a period of about
4 minutes. So England have had how long in the second half to pay things up, and they didn't. It was Swiss goal made them.
There was a period of about an hour in, wasn't it? About 15 minutes before they scored, they were definitely the better side, and they came at us, and you could see it wasn't a goal that I was sat there and went, oh my god, where's that come from? It was obvious that Swiss were going to get a chance and whether they could take it or not, so they definitely had to come. I was pleased at how quickly England responded. The thing I would like to see, and I think this is where the frustration ultimately comes from with England as tournament, that albeit, yes, we've got through and we're in the semi-finals, great. It's the reactive nature of how we're getting through, I think, is what's slightly frustrating, because, again, the game on Saturday, they have to go one behind to then come at a team and give it a go, similar to the Slovakia game. And it seems like you just think, why can't we get that mentality to just have a go earlier on? It's like, don't worry that if you do get caught on the counter and go one behind, you still back yourself. But you never know, if you have a go at a team, you might find yourself 2 up within 40 minutes because you've got the attacking quality to go and do it. And that, to me, has been the frustrating thing of why are we so reactive? We're not proactive, which is a very Southgate thing, I'll be honest. But that's
Very
again the
England
results. Well, yeah, very England thing. And the frustrating thing is, as much as you can be frustrated at Southgate, ultimately so far, it's got us to the semi-finals. And if he does go on to win it, that'll be the ultimate. Well, we all might think we know the game, but there's a reason we're not sat in the dugout, and he is, I suppose.
It is one of those. I saw something on Twitter the other night. One of the lads that we is it Glyn Jim? Is that how you pronounce his name?
Yes, Glenn Parry. Yeah, the
Everton
fan from is it Sheffield way, Donny way. Yeah,
he put something on about there doesn't seem to be an atmosphere on the streets or in the towns with I mean, there is flags. Obviously, there's a few things like that. But I always remember, like the World Cup 2002, everybody were bouncing just because it was the World Cup. I know this is the World Cup. Obviously, it's the Euros. But he said there doesn't seem to be that feel yet, even though in the last four, it doesn't see. It can't. It's. I think I know what I'm trying to say. There's not the.
But is that an age thing? Then? If you asked a bunch of kids who are between 6 to 15, whatever, so they're more excited about it. I think you look at the tournaments that we grew up with.
Kids everywhere. So
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. You maybe not see the flags coming out of cars. I mean, we went out for the day on Sunday into sort of Yorkshire way, and there were houses and pubs hanging flags up. So I think the difference is we're just not. I mean, I would never go out to a fan zone or to, a pub or to a bar or to watch it. I've done it once for the Croatia game, I think it was, in EURO2020, and it was fine. But I mean, I looked the other day, the arena in Manchester was selling tickets for $22.50, and I couldn't think of anything worse, because you're going to have the whole beers being thrown, and that's your thing. Great, knock yourself out, go and do it. But for me, I'd much rather sit at home and watch it, I suppose. But yes, I mean, I look at the tournaments we grew up with. The first one I really remember in terms of World Cups, I'd say it's 2002, 98, a little bit, but 2002, I was 9. And all the games were played at really odd times because you had the Brazil game that was on like 8 in the morning or something stupid. So you couldn't help but get excited about it. And I hope as kids, the biggest issue tomorrow again is going to be that the game starts at 8 o'clock and could finish past 10 o'clock. And I really hope there's kids that will be allowed to stay up and watch it, because I know that our parents would have done, I'm sure. End of the school year, you'd be fine. Don't worry about it. You'd be tired on Thursday.
I stayed up to watch the Argentina game on penalties in '98. So I remember that distinctly.
I must have fallen asleep, I'm guessing.
I think you were in bed, mate. I know Mum.
That'd have been 5?
Mum basically said, right, go to bed. And I was like, what? It's like 2-2 or whatever it was. And she's like, all right, I'll let you watch the penalties, but you
never got football, did you, Mum? My dad had been very different. He'd be like, yeah, come on, have a beer.
Oh, well, Dad was the one who let us run around the camping site in North Wales and England flag when we beat Germany in the Euro 2000 group stage. I mean, I would not like to say running around Wales with an England flag behind. But at the time, we went out on the group stage, so it's absolutely irrelevant.
Just what you're going back with, Matt, in terms of going to a venue to watch one of the games. I've done it for one of them. We went to watch the England-Denmark game in Bundorbust Brewery. I don't know if you've ever been there.
Yeah,
yes, that's where we were. Because we were trying to find somewhere that would have what we would thought, well, it was fine actually in the end, but 0 dickheads basically, and we thought that would be the only place that...
There's the issue.
Well, they were fine actually. It was fine, but we managed to. There's about 8 of us. That was a good crack. But you're talking. You want trouble? You can go to Yates's, can't you? Watch it in there, and it could be a Royal Rumble. But we did all right in Bundorbust. That was quite good. But you have to, like you say, you have to really pick and choose where you're going sometimes with an England game, because all the dickheads are out, aren't they? And look at the MEN Arena.
Well, I mean, I can't. It's a tough argument because, again, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's you shouldn't do it, because it's as long as it's all done with relatively good-natured fun, that's fine. But I even saw the other night there were people that arena, there were fights in the crowd, and you're thinking, you're supporting the same team. Yeah. How could you have a scrap with someone? You support the same team. And then again, they were doing a special offer at £6.95 a pint.
Special?
That's not a special offer. That's stupidly expensive. Still, it's still £7 a pint. And I've been to the arena. It's probably going to be Carling or something shit.
Watered down.
Yeah, very watered down. Sat on the side for 3 hours because you pour it all in advance. I just don't. And again, the whole throwing pints thing. I mean, we did it for when we equalised against
Slovakia, was it?
Was it the group stage? Can't remember what it was. There's a video where they did it. It might have been
Was it the winner against Wales in 2016?
It might have been, yeah. But again, but it was one where it was this tournament. I can't remember what it was. There's a video I've seen recently where again it's like a massive. There's beers going everywhere, and you think it's an equaliser. We haven't fucking won the game yet. DL, calm down. But I suppose, like I say, if that's your thing, great, go for it. I personally just don't see the best. Again, I'm speaking to someone who hasn't been to a club in about 10 years. Yeah. So you know what? It's what can I say? But if that is your bag, great. But I'm personally much rather I can find a quiet pub to watch it in with maybe a few guys. You might actually talk about the football and knock out.
I don't think there's any quiet pub running around, to be honest with you, Matt.
Exactly.
Like I say, there's a pub either end of our road, both, where I live, Matt, and there's a pub either end, and I don't think either would be quiet. I mean, I watched the game, obviously, got home Saturday and watched it with my dad, obviously, tomorrow night. Our dad, I should say, tomorrow night. But the only thing I'd be tempted to do is if we actually won the tournament, was to go to a street party.
That might be something.
Running around our way.
Yeah.
Once it's over, I want to be out amongst like-minded holidays. Then, because I won't know what to do because we haven't celebrated winning anything before.
That's the thing. I've always said if Everton do happen to somehow one day win something, it would be good if they do, and they will do if Everton do it. We've been so long, they will do a bus parade, I'm sure, of some capacity, and that would be good fun to do because. Yeah, you want to be involved with it. You want to get wrapped up in it, which is quite looking forward to go with if we do get through on tomorrow night and get to the final on Sunday. I know there's a few people staying where I'm staying for work, etc. on Sunday night who are going to be watching it. It'd be quite nice to be able to kind of watch it as a group that's going to be fairly well behaved. But yeah, I mean, it's a strange thing that's come. Again, the whole throwing pint thing. Fine, that's you. It must cost you a fucking fortune if you got half a pint. I did see the video of the guy at the arena who is understanding what's going on, and I think it's the Trent's penalty, who, instead of throwing it in the air, just launches it at someone's head with vigour, which is fucking wonderful. Have you seen? If I try and find it, it's the best video. He literally kind of goes, whoa, and just launches it at this guy's head next to him, who's going to be winding him up for the entire 90 minutes.
Like, it reminds me, have you ever seen the clip when the summit of Pungian game in O'Hara on Folk, but with a brilliant delay? Two people wait 10 seconds when it's all done. They realise my money's not fucking that right. It's like, and it's like, you have no clue. You've been 9 quid on that, mate. You have no idea what's going on. So funny, to be fair, but no, I can't imagine anything worse than chucking a piss warm, expensive paint on someone in the name of getting through the quarterfinal of the Euros.
The thing is, I wanted some opinion on this because a video, I don't know if you've seen it, and I hate to mention this guy's name, but there's a reason I will do. James Corden is currently doing a play in the West End. I don't know if anyone's seen this story.
Brought the tone down.
I'm sorry, but there's a reason I'll bring this. I will explain my reason. So he's currently doing a play in the West End. I've forgotten what it's called. And he delayed the start of the play because it went up about 7:30 on Saturday, and came out onto the stage and watched the penalties with the audience.
That's unique.
Which seems to have really divided people, because my thought process is, well, there's two ways you can do that. Either the show just goes up late and no one notices, or actually acknowledging the fact that we're not going to start the show until this bit is finished, because if we try and start the show on time, there's just going to be a bunch of people there in the crowd trying to check their phones, etc., not really be interested in what's going on. They're just trying to figure out what the score is. And there seems to be a weird mix of people saying, well, I go to the theatre to escape the football. Yeah, I get your point, but it was 8 minutes. Chill out. Don't worry about it. And I actually kind of one of the few things I can commend James Corden for, I quite like his reaction to it, was that, you know what, we're going to almost, here's the elephant in the room, we all want to know what's going on with the football, let's watch it together, then you get your play, and away you go. I thought it was actually quite a good move for someone who I universally dislike.
Whilst we're on the subject of something, an event being on, me and Shell are going watching Kings of Leon tomorrow night at the Co-op Arena.
What are you going to do? Also, has the Co-op any good with phone reception?
I'm not too sure, but that would be an interesting one.
I've not been yet.
I've not been either.
I reckon if they're smart, and Kings of Leon and Kings... Have you seen Kings of Leon
about
before?
2 years ago. Really good, really good.
are they very sort of crowd heavy? If that makes sense, is there a lot of crowd interaction?
Not
It doesn't
like,
strike me a lot.
Not like Dave Grohl. I wouldn't say Dave Grohl is up there with.
I'm going to say having all of us in
Yes.
the Foo Fighters recently, where he basically chats to the audience for most of the show. I don't see Kings of
No.
Leon doing that.
There's a little bit.
Because if they were smart, you'd be giving updates throughout the
clever.
gig. But I don't think they will.
What would be a funny idea is I think they've got multiple screens around the stage. You could have a screen in the corner.
Yeah, you can't
with just 1-0 or 0-0 in there, not the actual.
I get your point, but I think it also then
Detract.
would detract from people
Yeah.
at the gig. It would just get people constantly
That's
looking
a good
at
point.
the score instead of
That's a
watching
good
the
point.
gig. You've either got to kind of go cold turkey
I think cold.
and just not
Yeah.
look for the score, which is going to be
Rough.
nigh impossible. If there's phone signal, all right, keep an eye on the score. But I somehow don't see it. Yeah, it's going to be a tough one to do that.
Yeah,
I mean, I also imagine if you want to go to the gig for cheap, tomorrow night's the night to go because there's going to be a lot of tickets going.
Well, this is it.
It'll be, yeah. I imagine it'll be like in tennis. We're shot I think, in the tennis. And over this massive roar up on tennis course.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, the Djokovic
saw
playing.
that.
And it's like,
It's going to be
Well, they're going to win then.
the twist to it as well is that the Kings of Leon, obviously Americans, they probably don't care about our sport.
Well, I was going to
maybe
say,
don't care.
because if it was like Liam
Liam
Gallagher,
would have it
for
on
example,
probably, or he would update.
he'd have it on the background. He'd update the score.
I think that's it. I think
Funny.
what regards the whole theatre and gig thing, I think, is if, for example, there's going to be some crossover between like the people on the stage and the crowd, where people in the crowd watching calls and some of them will be interested in football. So I think you can't just say I don't like Cold and therefore I think he's going to knock this thing, because if it was somebody I quite liked that was doing it, I'd commend them.
Probably commended for it.
So you got to judge the active person that's done it. I do think that it's something like, and I don't doubt there'll be some crossover. For example, if it was like Matthew Bourne's One Lake or something, where I can't imagine there's a rabid amount of football fans
The Opera House.
in the nicest way, and they suddenly stuck the Russian Royal Moscow Ballet and give you an update on the England score. I feel like that slightly is a bit culturally jarring.
Yeah, I get
I think
your
it
point.
does depend. It's actually the performance, and indeed, I think it'll feel a bit feel for the audience. So
I think
don't
also as
see
well,
anything
there's
too
a
wrong
lot of
with
people have taken it way out of proportion. It was like 10 minutes
Yeah.
something late,
It's
which
like-
is better. We've all been seeing theatre. Most shows go up 10 minutes late in some capacity anyway.
It's like thoughts and prayers of Avril Lavigne right now. She's going to be doing a tour around the UK. Pretty much every gig she does is running under on.
Yeah.
Glastonbury, whether it's something else.
This is actually one. So I'll tell a story quickly. So Greg talked about you going to see Kings of Leon tomorrow. I'd love to hear if we can put this out as a tweet or something like that. There must have been examples in the past of people, because I've got one, which I'll explain in a second, where people have pre-booked something that then on the night or a week before, for example, England have somehow done well and have got to the latter stages of a tournament, or they're just in the World Cup in general, that kind of thing. What did you do? Did you go to the gig, or did you go to the football? Because the one I've got is, so I'll tell my story very quickly, is 2006.
Yeah.
We just got to the quarters and played Portugal. Remember saying rightly? Got knocked out by
We
Portugal.
watched Portugal on my birthday, I think it was.
It might well have been. So
right
my dad, in his infinite wisdom, got 2 tickets to go and see the Who in Liverpool.
Wow.
This is when they had, for anyone for Liverpool, this is the old summer pops days when they used to put the tent up. I'm going to guess very similar to where our ground's going.
Is that where the arena is now? Or is that...
I can't remember. I might be where the arena is. Anyway, they used to put like a big circus tent up, and they used to host gigs all summer. And my dad, I'm not sure if this is good or bad, but I'll explain the story. He got 2 tickets cheap because if it had got through the quarter-final, the semi-final was the night of the gig. So he almost banked on England losing the quarter-final and got 2 tickets to go into the Who cheap, which they lost, obviously. It was the famous Ronaldo wink and everything else. And they got through, so yeah, he got 2 tickets cheap. So in that case, he got lucky, you could argue,
It's quite clever.
in a weird sense.
Live? Yeah, I've got personally the last World Cup where it was fine, but because the way the groups fell, we booked to, my girlfriend and I had gone round Matt, you might know about this, there's like a winter light show at Liverpool Anglican
Oh, yeah.
Cathedral
Yes.
in
yeah.
December. It's lovely. It was based on the Christmas Carol. It was absolutely lovely, but I think it was like 2nd December at 7 p.m. Literally the timing we're playing Senegal, and we'll have obviously We went from there and there, through the pub windows on Bold Street, Liverpool, couldn't find any screen. I've got it on, can't see anything. Nothing. So it was really a romantic walk around. Obviously, I'm not checking the phone because it's cathedral. It's all very Christmassy. It's all very festive. Full disclosure, I'm the least festive person in the world. I just want to
Yeah.
Scrooge.
the playing the Standard of Africa. It's just a massive announcement. You know. So,
Because the only other one I've got is it's not football related. So this, for any Formula One fans that listen, and I imagine there might be a few, I know you guys don't really follow it, but the season finale of 2021, which anyone who watches F1 was an amazing season. So it ended up where you could have had Verstappen or Hamilton winning it. The last race was the decider. It's Sunday afternoon. It's about 3 o'clock, I think it starts, the time I checked. And again, a few weeks in advance, my girlfriend had bought tickets to go and see The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe at Salford Keys. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, Sunday afternoon, pretty nice day out. And I realised about a week later when she booked it that the time of the show with the matinee was the exact same time as the race was on, which was the worst. Because then obviously if I go to the theatre, I don't turn my phone off because everything comes from my watch. But I turn the watch off so it comes through silently, and there's just buzzes of notifications where there's friends of mine who clearly are watching it. Because, if anyone's watched it, it ends in very controversial fashion. And the sheer thing of like, oh my god, I really want to know what's going on, but I can't be like lighting up people next to me with my phone, my watch screen, until the end of it. I think again it started. You had to get through the entire show before I found out what happened. Then I was like, just then trying to find out what happened because of chaos and ensued. But yeah, that's quite an interesting tweet. I'll be trying to see. I mean, I'll let you guys send it because I'm not sure what the login for Twitter is. To see if anyone, and almost like what you decided to do. Did you sell your ticket? Did you go? Did you try and find out what's going on? But yeah, I did always wonder because especially a summer tournament, there must be all sorts of gigs that are going on that people like Sunday night, for example. There must be all sorts going on.
I missed the entire England 2018 World Cup group stage because I was in Venice. Admittedly, I was 7 hours ahead in the middle of China, so I couldn't really watch it.
We watched a few, didn't we, Jim, in terms of...
We watched Spain Portugal over a week or something. It was bizarre.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, we watched over some I found some dodgy streams.
in terms of recent memory, if it's England-Italy, a couple of years ago at Wembley final, there must have been... Somebody must have had something going on and thinking, shit, what am I doing here? We got to the final in the first time in years.
It's a weird period because don't forget that one as well, we were just coming out of COVID.
Oh, that's true, actually, thinking about it.
Because the restrictions kept getting increased as England got through the tournament in hilarious fashion. I'm pretty sure if we had got knocked out in the quarters, there'd have been fucking no one at Wembley. Yeah. There'd have been like 1,000 people, not 80,000.
I really want to know, summer, nice weather, has anyone booked their wedding? Or
there'll be someone.
When England have been on in a major game and they've not
definitely must have been,
or not realised, or there's a christening, or there's something big on. You can't really.
I know of one of my friends. I'll shout out. So my friend Sam Sanderson, he married my second cousin Louise, and it was on the FA Cup final. He's a Man City fan, and it was the FA Cup final. Was it Man City Stoke? One of the first ones that they got to 2011.
Yeah,
and that was on they booked their wedding day on the same day of the FA Cup final, and everyone's looking at the watches and phones and all kinds of stuff. That was quite funny, but that was just before they got ridiculously good. Obviously, we know they are like a mega power now, aren't they? In terms of what have you? Was it 1-0? I think that one.
Yeah,
that was hysterical because it was sort of like everyone. He was nervous for two different reasons. Because they hadn't become this mega power in terms of winning everything all the time. That was just like almost the start of it a little bit.
I bet, Jim, because the world is that cruel, I bet if one of us ever gets married, it'll be the next time Everton get to a final.
Yeah.
Nothing more than I'll book it for May, thinking May, nothing will happen, it'll be fine. And or it'll be February, and we get to a Carabao Cup final.
I'm also in open version. Have you booked time aside for a sporting event that never happened? For example, I know a guy who booked flights to Dublin because he thought they were going to get the Europa League final. And then have to land to Scotland. Or I know of, for example, this podcast right now who are currently en route to Dortmund because they booked well in advance the England semi-final in Dortmund before the tournament even started. No, the amount
Who was that, Jim?
The amount of it was the guys who've not top 20. I don't know them, but I know of them, obviously. Ali and George, they seem like great guys, and I think they've got their mate Dave going along, who's done a lot of the football cliche podcast. But I know since before the start of the tournament, they're like, we need to win the group and then win all the knockout round games. Not to thank you guys for the excellent preparation. They didn't make it. What do you play? Are they going to see two?
Interesting.
I have a
How many people bought events thinking their team's going to be there and they've turned out not to be? I'd like to hear that as well, whether it's England or anything else.
Must be a few. You've ended up at a random, or you end up at a random knockout game that's nothing to do with the side you want to go and see.
Yeah, well, they might
must be
That's
all sorts.
happened to me and Jimmy's mates have been to a Euro game. Brian, who we've had on at one of the first episodes ever, Brian Forbes. Brian and Jason went to. They've been to. Was it Dusseldorf? I can't remember it. Well,
it was Gelsenkirchen and Georgia, Portugal, wasn't it?
They put themselves. They were in the ballot for any European game ticket, and they ended up with Georgia, Portugal, and they were a bit gutted that.
See, that's fair enough. That's because again, because I'm guessing you can enter a ballot purely for England games.
I think so. Do you have to be part of the England supporters club? I think
because again, because the thing when obviously the tournament rolls around in what we on 2028. To 28 around here?
28.
32,
28 tournament, yeah.
Obviously, from our situation, we're quite lucky that we've got Everton's ground and we've got Etihad, is it?
That's, Etihad's being used.
I'm going to assume it's the Etihad. And so we're quite lucky that I can always say, well, I'll tell you what, put me in the ballot for both grounds. And I hope to get one.
Whichever game.
I'm not really fussed what game it is.
No.
I imagine England would always play at Wembley, you would argue. But it must have not
play hand in Ireland always at either, so I don't think we get anything amazing, but we could get like a Denmark or a Portugal or a France or something.
Well, I think because I regret. I mean, one of life's regrets. One I do think one of the things I do regret is not booking to go and try and see anything at the Olympics in 2012 when it was on in London. Because there was football. There's football in the Northwest, wasn't it? They had Old Trafford.
It was Old Trafford, yeah.
And I do regret not just putting my name in for the ballot to see if I could get anything for any event. Just to say you've been to an Olympic event would have been quite cool. But I think 2028 I will try and make the effort to try and go to at least one game. Yeah. If it's in the Northwest.
Yeah. Absolutely. But that's anyway, 4 years' time.
Completely on tangent there.
Half time. Spain 2,
France 1. They're just going through the highlights.
Actually sounds quite entertaining.
It has been a good game. I've got it on a split screen. I've got you guys on one side here.
Isn't it typical that we've moaned about how poor the score's been and then best game, one of the best games we've seen round.
We'll tell you what, we've been recording for an hour and...
How much have we got left? How much have we got in the tank?
Well, we've got an hour and 7 minutes we've got for. So should we wrap up here? Idea. So we can all go and watch the second half and you can guarantee no goals.
Nothing's going to happen. Made it the Euro final.
So I tell you what, let's do. So what we'll do quickly. So predictions for who's going to win the second half. Who's going to go through, Spain or France?
I'll go for Spain. I think they'll get another goal. I think there's more goals in this one. I know it's 2-1. I think Spain 3-1.
Go on, Jim.
France on penalties.
Ooh.
I'm going to go France on penalties too. Don't know why. I think Mbappe get an equaliser late-ish second half in penalties.
I think Wilds like from the corner or something, just like
all that, yeah. And then tomorrow, what are we going for?
Netherlands. Sorry,
you go Netherlands.
2-0 Netherlands or something. I think this is a game too far for the way we played.
I'm going to go England on penalties, which is a fucking bold prediction. I appreciate.
You're going to give a lot of people heart attacks there, Matt.
It's a bold prediction. Apologies if that comes true.
If we end up winning the semi and the final on penalties, I'll take it. But
and then, so okay. So we've got England. What would you agree?
It's a difficult call. I think Holland. I'll go for Holland. Yeah, I think this is the end of the road.
Right. Okay. So you two got. So for you two, then who's going to win it? France or Holland?
We're going for different finals, I don't think.
So you got
Spain, Holland.
Yeah, Greg, you said Spain, Netherlands, didn't you?
So you got Spain, Holland. So go on then, Greg. Who's going to win it out of your two?
Spain will win it overall.
Spain. Jimmy?
France. I think whoever wins tonight wins it.
And I think the French are going to win it.
Interesting. We've got a good mixture there of different
things. 2 Euros in a row. We leave it.
I did put a poll out on Twitter.
So I tell you what.
Sorry, I put a poll out on Twitter. Who do you think will advance to the final? We've got, there's 36 votes, and it's split 50-50, Holland-England. So, there you go, it's split 50-50, not too sure if you can see, but 50-50. And then on the second one...
I think that makes sense. It is quite a tough one to call.
It is. It's arguably Europe's two most underachieving footballing nations, considering the popularity, the size, quality of players. The fact that we've got one very old World Cup, they've got one Euros from '88. It's the two real sleeping giants of European international football. One of them's made in the final in a country that they consider to be a big rival nation. So either way, there's a narrative there. So it means for the neutral, it's very exciting. Although there is no neutral because everyone hates England. The fact that there's Irish people and people with Netherlands shirts on is quite funny. And fair play, I wouldn't have put it any other way. But yeah, on the whole, it is quite an exciting prospect as a narrative. As a game, it could be a bit turd, but we'll see.
But again, we said this about the Spain-France game. It's currently 2-1.
Hey, it sounds all right. Yeah, it sounds like a cool game.
So depending on when this comes out, you'll know. Well, you'll know before the final, I assume, if whoever was correct in some capacity. We've got 3 different winners.
I've got Spain.
We've got the French. You got the Spanish. Yeah. Like the way none of us back to England because we're all too festive. Big up, guys.
By the way, the thing was BBC England are 4 favourites to win the competition.
Well, it's interesting because I've put a few tweets out. So the other one is obviously who will advance from tonight's game. There's 32 votes, and it's 66% of people think Spain will win tonight, and 34% for France. And I did one of overall, so I've got all 4 in there. Who do you think will win the Euros? We've had 57 votes. Spain are the favourites so far with 51% of the votes. Then it's England with 32% of the votes. Then it's France with 16% and Holland 2%. There's just to confirm.
Can I just check something, Greg, just on that with the voting? Is that total representation or first past the post?
Well, I just put who do you think will win Euro 2024 even?
What is that technically? Yeah. That's not? It's neither, is it?
Well,
it's neither. This is where we join a political podcast. That'd be good fun.
We're also going to have a few voice notes from Deck. Hopefully, I'm going to bolt these on at the end. He's just sent a few there. He's been at his mum's birthday tonight, so he's missed the pod. But we're going to have a few voice notes from Deck.
Any excuse. Talk about missing things for life events. Missed out on this absolute monumental sporting occasion.
Clearly not
committed enough. We are. I think he got him from the Euros because he's not.
Speaking from someone who misses about half of these because they're never been doing something else and forget we booked them in, but that's fine.
And someone who's missed a few because he couldn't be bothered to buy a new laptop.
Anyway, gents, we'll call it there. So if this were going up before the final, at the very least, so you all know by that point how wrong we are. If that's the case, if the Dutch might go and win it, you never know.
You know what? It's the best Beatles I have to do with it because I like the Dutch.
Yeah, really so.
What would be good is if Holland do win it, should we all just have a weekend in Amsterdam on Sunday?
You know what? Fuck it. Give it any excuse to present Amsterdam.
Amsterdam would be wild on Sunday, wouldn't it?
I want to see Greg Stone.
No. God help us all. So will one of you please text me tomorrow night with what's going on?
Absolutely
I will feel like Chris Kamara. I will feel like Chris Kamara.
It's a new arena, Greg. It's a co-op live, so I mean the Wi-Fi's there. It might not work.
Be, a bit like the good old days before the internet.
Yeah, just raw dog it, you'll be fine.
Yeah,
dog it.
Dear me.
Ew. On that note, gents. Anyway, I'm going to watch the second half.
Okay. Of what?
EastEnders.
Well, yeah. I'm currently watching Friends again, so probably season 4. At this point.
Sounds good.
Haven't seen it.
But yeah. Anyway, come on, England. We might have a chance of winning it.
Indeed.
There's currently a dog in the room.
There's currently another dog in the room as well here, but he's not coming on camera because he's been a pain. Yeah, so come on England, good luck Netherlands in the nicest way and kick over Dutch listeners. Whether it does end up coming home or England end up going home, as Ham did, just remember, it's only a game, lads and girls.
It is only a game. Thank you everyone for listening.
Indeed. Thanks everyone for listening.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye.
Good evening, gents, and good evening, listeners. Apologies that I'm not with you this week. Back end of the school year is always a bit of a busy one. But yeah, just thought I'd start off by saying I'm a very, very happy man. England are still, at the time of recording, in the Euros, and the Tories are out of government. So this time last week, if you'd have offered those two to me, I'd have snatched your hand off at the opportunity of one. So God bless England, and God bless Keir Starmer. Just a brief synopsis from me, really, in terms of England's performances so far in the Euros. I think I've got to agree with the vast majority in saying that the performances have been pretty flat. In all honesty, had you have changed the shirt on them for Conference or League Two players, I think some of the performances would warrant that, just in terms of how flat the football's been. And that's coming from someone who's watched a lot of flat football over the years at Prenton Park. I think, to me, do I like Southgate? Yes. I think he's done very, very well with England, but at the same time he kind of should have done well for the amount of talent that he's got in the squad. Yes, he's got us to quarter-finals, semi-finals, finals, etc. over the years and over the tenureship of him being England manager. Do I think he'll be there after the Euros? I think even if they go on and win it, I think his time is probably up now with the team. They've kind of bored their way through games, and I mean, we've all seen it, haven't they? They've really taken it to the wire in some games that arguably should have been more comfortable. Having said that, I think generally the quality of the tournament has been rather lacklustre. I'm saying this whilst watching the Spain-France semi-final and marking my books, obviously being able to multitask and all, but I think generally that obviously there's been a few shining stars, as there always are at the tournament. There's always one or two teams that take us by surprise. I think Turkey are probably one of those sides, aren't they? They've had a really good tournament, obviously up until the previous round. But I think as much as we say that those top elite countries, shall we say, have maybe lacked the quality that you would come to expect from a major international tournament, I think also credit where credit's due that a lot of the other teams have maybe upped their standard as well. I was having this discussion with a couple of the lads there the other day at half time during the England game, and for me, I think one of England's biggest issues is we go years in between tournaments. Okay, obviously you have your qualifiers for Euros and the World Cup and so on, but all of the international friendlies that we're involved in are of such a poor standard that the supporters, myself included, get used to England walloping countries by 3, 4, 5, 6 goals, and you kind of come to expect that free-flowing football. And I think sometimes, as fans, we kind of forget the knockout nature of these tournaments. Now, yes, maybe they should have been a little bit more free-flowing, in terms of, especially in the group stage, maybe where they had a little bit more time to kind of try things. Having said that, they probably should have known the strongest 11 at the start of the tournament, and they quite clearly didn't. But I kind of think, like, if you think to like your own club, if you were in a cup final, you're in, contention for playoffs maybe, you don't care how your team performs once they get the result that's needed. And I think maybe it's time, obviously, the other semi-final tomorrow night against Netherlands, and we pray to God that we do get through. If we do, we just accept that that's the setup at the minute, and we really get behind them. I know I'm preaching to the converted boys, because I know all of you will be wanting them to do really well. But yeah, hopefully we can bring it over the line. My prediction is, I think it was on a podcast back in May sometime. I think it was the last time I was on. And I actually said that England would either go out in the last 16 or whatever way around it works. They'd either go out in that fixture, or they would win the whole tournament. And I'm gonna stick to my guns. I'm also gonna make a second prediction which kind of backs that the winner doesn't come from tonight's final of Spain-France. I think Spain have been the obvious winner from the start, and I just feel like they may be due a bit of an average game. France haven't shown anything that I'd be worried about. I know they've got individual players. I actually think that the winner of the tournament comes from tomorrow night's semi-final. I'm going to continue by saying I think England will win it, and I think they'll just bore themselves to a victory, which I don't think any of us will be complaining about if we can bring that beautiful trophy home.
It's Only a Game podcast with hosts Jimmy, Greg, Deg and Matt. Sat in the main stand, bringing football topics with occasional guests. Download, subscribe and stream for a hat-trick of support. Tap in ratings and reviews on your podcast platform. Stay onside with our YouTube channel and social media pages.
Sports Social Podcast Network.